Alright, so here's a quick X-Arc to show you what the build is like in terms of damage and tankiness. So you can pre-stack your explosive trap here and get really a lot of damage down right away. Also, I rolled this boss with 25% increased damage, 30% increased speed. I'm not sure if I said that, but now I did. So you can pretty much just stand here and throw your traps at him. Almost got him. If I played a little bit better, I probably could kill him. But yeah, here's the build. So you can just stand in these, you know. You can swap out your purity when you need it to other types as well. 87 fire res. Here's the gear. It's nothing crazy. Very much more rather it's scaled a lot higher, especially in softcore trade league. So yeah, I can kind of just stand here. I'm pretty sure I can't tank that, so I'm not gonna. Maybe with BMS and a Ruby Flask. And just finish him off here. I was gonna explain more there, but kind of killed him too fast, so I'll explain that more stuff in the next segment. So here's an overview of the build. Just everything about it, and like the mechanics it uses. So on full budget gear, it's about 8.5 million DPS. So pretty good. 6k life, spell suppression capped, some all res, some all max res, sorry. 21k armor with flask down, not really any evasion rating, as it does not use grace. 1.2k energy shield, bunch of regen, because you are Inquisitor, so here is the nodes you take on Inquisitor, so it's really standard, just crit stuff. Pious Path, Inevitable Judgment, you ignore the resistances, you get more crit chance. Consecrated Ground spawns around you, lingers, and it doubles your regen. So the build will use Glorious Vanity to get that energy shield for you to regen. So the way the build does damage is by this scepter, an alternating scepter. It's Secrets of Suffering. What Secrets of Suffering does is it flips all of your ailments you would apply normally, aka shock, chill, and ignite, and it puts them to the alternate ailments, which are very, very powerful. So you get Scorched, which reduces elemental resistances on the enemies. This is the least important one, probably. It doesn't really add much, because you ignore all their resistances anyways as Inquisitor. So, you know, it doesn't do much. It adds a minuscule amount of damage. Brittle. Brittle is the main one, the big one. This is what gives you the majority of your damage. It highly increases your crit chance. As you can see, it's huge there. That's a 3 million change from that. And then Sap will reduce the damage of amount of damage the enemy does. So you need all 3 damage types in the build. So you need fire, cold, and lightning. By default, explosive trap will do fire and fizz. So fire is covered, but you don't need to worry at all about fire, because like I said, not important. So you just need to figure out how to get cold and lightning. The cold is going to come from, you're going to want cold damage to spells on your scepter, and you're going to want fizz converted to cold on your gloves. So this, what's it called? You can do lightning as well for the sap if you want to play it safer and get cold somewhere else, or you can get Veiled Gloves, which have an actual affix on it, and not just Eldritch implicits, and then you can get more conversion that way. But you do need to find ways to do cold and lightning damage. Emphasis on the cold damage, because that is your damage. Where it comes from is your cold damage, mainly. So besides that, there's nothing really huge, but here are the auras you'll use. I'm considering Righteous Fire and Aura because all it does is this is not a Righteous Fire build. Righteous Fire is essentially an aura that gives you 41% more spell damage. And yeah, so that's that. So here are your real auras. You use Hatred. This is what you normally use. Just well, not doing any particular like pinnacle bosses. You will use Hatred, Defiance Banner, Vitality. So depending on how much mana you have on your gear, which there's not much in this PoB because I just include like the very minimal base stats on the gear, you'll probably end up getting some mana randomly on your gear. So you'll probably be able to bump this up to 20. You cannot in this PoB. On my character, it is up to 20. Determination obviously gives you the armor, and Summon Skitterbots and Tempest Shield. This gives you damage from the Skitterbots, and it also allows you to still apply shock, which is nice because remember, you're swapping your ailments to a different type, the alternate ones. So that allows you to still shock and chill, which is nice, and it gives you more trap mind damage. Tempest Shield will give you some spell block, so you have some 25-25 block. And it also gives you immunity to shock, which is the main thing here, which is good. It's very important to get immunity to shock now, especially because your chest piece craft makes you take Fizz as lightning, which means any Fizzle you take, if you don't have Tempest Shield, you will be getting shocked by it, which is not good. So there is something sneaky in this build, which I'm probably going to make a separate video about because it's OP, and maybe I shouldn't because then GG will know it's there and will nerf it. But so in this patch, they removed Divine Blessing life tap auras. However, there is a way to still life tap your Divine Blessing auras. So what you're going to do is you're going to buy a Prism Guardian. They're like 20C or something. In your offhand, you're going to equip the Prism Guardian, and you're going to put these gems in it. Zealotry, Increased Duration, and Divine Blessing. And then in your main hand, you will also have your shield. You'll make sure your Zealotry, you'll have a second Zealotry gem, and it will be in your main shield. So you swap to your Prism Guardian, you press your Divine Blessing, and you swap back, and you just life tap Blessinged one of your damage auras, and lets you get another one. But you need to make sure you have a second Zealotry in your main hand shield, or the buff will disappear. Yeah. Your major god you'll use is Brine King for the freeze immunity, chill immunity, or reduced chill effect. And then you'll use Ralakash. In hardcore, it is basically mandatory to use this because certain mobs do really, really overtuned bleeds. But if you're in softcore, I'd probably say you can go Aberrath if you want for the immunity of the strong burning grounds. I mean, you do have a lot of regen as well, so it shouldn't really be an issue. If you're not using Tempest Shield, you could maybe go the reduced shock effect one. Maybe the poison one if you have low chaos res. But I always use Ralakash. That is that. So with a little bit higher budget gear, the damage quickly goes up to 12 million. Very scalable build. So that is the overview. I don't think I missed anything. I'm not going to include leveling trees in this PoE. You do not want to level as this build. Granted, you can if you really want to, but this build is not good at clearing. It can clear maps okay, but it is not good by any means. And I recommend you just go Righteous Fire, Fire Trap, or something for a while till you get to like 90s. You don't have to do this. I didn't do this. I regret not doing this because the map clear really is not very good. But it's okay. But go Righteous Fire or something and till level 95 or so. Then you swap to this and use this primarily as a bosser since it has huge single target but mediocre clear. Now, I think that is everything. You can see your links and stuff here, the other skills. You are going to need to life tap all your skills because you're up to the brink with your mana. You're making use of it all. So you life tap everything, and you'll need to, for your molten shell, you'll need to make sure you have minus mana cost on some of your jewelry. You don't need it on every piece. I'm not sure how many pieces you need it on. I think on my character, I only have it on the amulet. Yeah, I'm looking now. I only have it on the amulet, so you will need to make sure. It is a tough time balancing your mana with this. So if you can get 2 of these crafts, you're golden. If you can get 1, you're gonna have to look at your mana and make sure you have enough to actually cast your molten shell. Other than that, everything will be on life tap, so that will not be a real issue. So the total price of all the budget gear is about 8 divines in total, so not too bad considering what you're getting. You're getting about 8.5 million DPS. You're incredibly tanky, especially for softcore standards. But if you do opt to use some of the higher budget things I've included, like the shield and the amulet, it does bump it up quite a bit, another like 20 or so. But you can also get similar things for a lot cheaper. If you're in softcore like this one, you can ditch the maximum res and just go with like some spell damage and fire and life, and it will probably only be about a divine for that. So that is what I recommend doing if you're on a budget, obviously. Alright, so here's the weapon, budget weapon. This is my weapon, all this is my gear that I used. So here's the budget scepter. It's an alternating scepter base. Worst case scenario, it'll be 150C. You can probably buy something cheaper on trade though, and I will show you now. Here's the trade site. 100C, 1 divine. This one is better than mine. Yeah, you can do physical spell gems and fire spell gems. So you can check both those. For the prices, it will obviously vary depending on the time you're doing it and who's online. Obviously, these specific ones probably won't be online, but... And then here we can see if you want to craft it yourself. You just spam Deafening Essences of Suffering, which it says 61 chaos, but it'll probably be more around 120, because if you're buying them in bulk, they're about 1-to-1, maybe a little bit less. So 150, like worst case scenario. Here are the items it'll give you. Well, not necessarily give you, but you know, what you can expect here. And then what you can do is spend an additional 2 divines to do the multi-mod there. So, yeah. Alright, so here's the budget shield, it's just a shield at life. Suppression, res if you need it. Yeah, really simple to make, really cheap. So here you can see it takes on average 44 greed essences, and you can use, so they're about 1-to-1 right now. So it'll cost about 40C. If you want to just buy one, you can probably get one that's cheaper, just some random like junk, and that is the budget shield. Alright, here we can see the higher end shield, which is you have a pretty deterministic way of crafting it. So it's you get spell damage, +1 fire or fizz, and +3 max fire res, and then you multi-mod life and suppression. Here's how you do it. So you get your base shield, and you want to get it so it only has spell damage and fire res, and that's it. Then you're going to craft on multi-mod, which is 2 divines, and prefixes cannot be changed, and suffixes cannot be changed, which in total that is 6 divines. And then all you will do is you'll use harvest, and you'll do a harvest reforge fire, and then it's 100% chance to get +1 fire gems. So you can see I can do this as many times as I want. It will always give you +1 fire. Can also do okay, no fizz. Don't do fizz. Alright, fizz doesn't work, but fire only. So that's the shield, and so what you can do this in trade is you can just buy cheap bases like this, and you can try to annul them down to just having +3 max fire res and the spell damage, and then you can do what I described here, and that's a pretty sure way of getting the shield. Alright, so here is the budget helmet. So the base helmet, you'll buy Determination, Mana Reservation enchant. Right now it is about 2 divines. It was only 1 yesterday, so it will depend on the time you're buying it. But it is 2 today, so it is 2. And yeah, you just want life, suppression, res where you need it. So the price does not take into account here the Eldritch currency, because I don't believe there's a way. I mean, I could calculate it, but it's not worth the effort. But you can just throw them on as you find them. So it'll be a little bit more expensive than overall, but that's the price for everything minus the Eldritch currency. And here you can see it's about 33 essences of greed here. Let's see. So yeah, they go for about 1-to-1, just so pretty reliable. 33 tries, 33 Cs, so the total will come out to be about 2 divines and 33 chaos. Alright, here we've got the budget chest. All you really care about on this is life, suppression, and an open prefix to craft this fizz damage taken as fire and lightning. That's Gravicious Veiled Craft, which is through Betrayal. So the base you can buy for about seems to be like 80 to 1 divine. So I just rounded up to a divine. Here, average 53 tries of essences to hit the tier 1 suppress. So that'll be about 1 divine and 53 chaos total for the chest. Alright, here we have the gloves. So you're just looking for life and res, or life regen or suppression. Anything there is usable. Ideally, you want to get some chaos res on these, or I mean on other pieces of gear too, so you're not like sitting at a bunch of negative chaos res. So yeah, here's like all the good mods you could hit. Hitting some combo of them is about 1 in 29. So once again, greeds are about 1 to 1. So about 1 in 30 to hit them. The base type is just a couple of chaos. If you want to buy it yourself, just buy it. You can buy something similar for quite cheap, 20 to 30. So you can go either way there. All right, so your boots, you just want life, regenerate, suppression, and you want an open prefix so you can craft that onslaught on kill movement speed, or just regular movement speed is fine too, since this is primarily a bosser. So here, I highly recommend just buying a pair of random boots. You can get them around 25C, 25, 30, 40. There's plenty for sale. You could tweak some of the mods too, so you can drop the suppression and get somewhere else. Same with the regen. If you're gonna craft it yourself, it's gonna take about 463 greed essences, which is why I don't really recommend crafting it yourself. Just buy yourself a cheap pair here. 1 to 1 greed essences. So crafting yourself is not a good idea. Alright, so here's the budget amulet. You're just looking for life, crit multi. If you can get it, crit chance, and +1 fire skill gems, and then you're going to want to craft non-channeling skills minus mana cost. You don't necessarily need that craft, so it'll be a lot cheaper if you get one in crafted life, 30C to like 70C or so. For an amulet like that, some of them have prefixes open. It might be on the higher end, like this one has a prefix open, you could craft that, but it's not a huge deal if you can't get one with a prefix open. You can just craft that on one of your rings instead. Alright, so the high-end amulet will cost you around 10 divines, and you're looking for, you can guarantee all these mods deterministically, completely. Life, crit multi, +1 fire, and then you craft trap throwing speed and non-channeling skills at minus mana cost. Here is how you do it. So you're going to buy an amulet with T1 fractured crit multi. I mean, it doesn't have to be T1, but it should be T1. It should be pretty cheap. I believe turquoise amulet is the best base, and if you get one of those, it'll cost you 10 to 20C, which is not bad at all. Oh, sorry, not turquoise. You're gonna want a marble amulet, but that might be kind of expensive. So ideally you get marble if you can get it, but if you can't get it, which doesn't look like you're going to be able to because there's one listed right now, but turquoise amulet, T1 fractured, crit multi. And then here's how you craft that. So you're going to alt spam that until you get tier 1 life. I mean, you can go lower than tier 1 if you don't care enough for tier 1 life, for like softcore based or whatever. Then you will regal it to make it rare, and then you're going to need to annul whatever you just regaled on. Hopefully it was not the life you just annulled, and then you have to start again. But yeah, so then you craft, can have up to 3 crafted modifiers, then prefixes cannot be changed, and then you craft fire damage to attacks. So total these crafts will be like 4 divines and whatever this one is. So that's 4 divines, and then what you're gonna do is you're gonna harvest craft augment fire. So augment fire is about 15,000 purple life force. So that'll be about 600 C or 3 divines, and then another 2 for the boss life force. So that brings you around to 10 divines. And then if you do it, you can see got +1 fire skill gems. It'll always be +1 fire skill gems here. When you do this, you're going to hope it does not hit your multi-mod craft, which it does there, because then you're going to have to redo another 2 divines to craft that back on. So you can see there, it is 100% deterministic. So here, and then you'll craft on trap throwing speed and minus mana cost to that. All right, so here's the budget ring. What you're going for here is life, some res, and crit multi, and then crafting minus mana cost if you have an open prefix. So here is what it'll look like if you try and buy it yourself. It's anywhere from 25 to 25C to about a divine. If you craft it yourself, it is about a 1 in 38 ratio. And if you craft it yourself, you will be aiming to just get good suffixes, aka some res and multi or a stat or something, and then you will probably just craft life onto it, and that's fine. Ideally, you'd hit something like this one where it hits life, and then you'd craft the minus mana cost, but that'll be much harder to hit than just crafting life. But that is what you'd ideally do for this ring. And scorn, as these go for about 3 or 4 each, so it'll be around 100 to 120 C to craft one ring. You also could just use random res rings without the crit multi, which will be just a couple of chaos maximum. Alright, here's the belt, budget belt. And you're just looking for life and increase maximum life. You actually want this to be a hunter belt. You have a little bit higher chance of getting maximum life instead of elder. And then you're just looking for an open prefix, and you just slap on trap throwing speed there. And here is, you just use pristine fossils. About a 1 in 35. You can buy pristine fossils for about 1 to 1 actually, so it's actually cheaper. It's only about 35C, it seems, not 70. So that is a good surprise. And as opposed if you want to buy it yourself, you're paying like a minimum of 1 divine here. Don't recommend buying this item, just craft it yourself. Well, what's the base cost? Let me see. Hunter influenced. Leather belt. Oh, yeah, okay. Just craft it yourself. All right, the jewels. Pretty simple stuff. I'm not going to go over the prices for these, they're cheap. You just want max life, crit multi with fire skills or some kind of crit multi, and you can use it to patch up other things like stats if you need them or res. Just for the normal jewels. For the large cluster jewel, you want to just spam it with jagged fossils, and you want to get you want to make sure you have force multiplier as one of your nodes. It helps a lot with maintaining your alternate ailment effect. It'll bump it up a little bit more. And what you want to make sure you do not have on your large cluster jewel is, let me make sure it's the right one. Yes, you do not want Master the Fundamentals. If your cluster jewel is Master the Fundamentals, it is going to reduce your damage because you are an elemental damage build, not just purely fizz. You do all damage types, so that will reduce your damage. I made that mistake for a while, and you don't want to be making that mistake because you're reducing your damage. Your medium clusters, just a trap mine damage, and you can just alt roll this. It doesn't take very much. Doriani's Vanity. I don't have good numbers for you. You can put those in and figure it out yourself. And that is the jewels. Those are all fairly cheap. And that is the end of the gear. I changed my mind. I actually will go over the jewels a little bit. So if you want to craft yourself, it'll take you about 136 tries, which will be about 544C. You just spam jaggeds, and that's it. Till you get these three. If you put that one in as well, instead of the force multiplier, which is okay, it goes down to 46 and then 177, but I really recommend getting force multiplier. It's fine if you don't, but highly recommend it. And if you just want to buy it outright, which is what I recommend doing, it is much cheaper and it's only about a divine. You can see there's plenty listed here. Just buy this jewel is my recommendation. All right, and here the medium cluster, you want arcane pyrotechnics and guerrilla tactics on it. And here's what the it looks like. Alting, and augment and regaling. It takes about 263 tries, and on average, all of this stuff comes out to about 100C if you buy yourself, because you'll need a 4 passive one. It'll be about a divine, maybe a little bit more. So I also recommend just crafting this yourself. And yeah, I would just craft it yourself.